is the beginning of something revolutionary.
Standing in line to see the show tonight, and there's a light on, heavy glow. By the way, I tried to say I'll be there, waiting for.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Youth and Power podcast, the unofficial, official California YNG podcast by the Anderson Munger delegation. Today, I have my fellow Anderson Munger delegate, Chelsea Robb. You may recognize her from Camp Bob. She was running for your youth governor. And we're super excited to interview our first guest of the show, Molly Stout from the Diablo Valley delegation. Molly is running for our 78th Secretary of State, and we're grateful to have her on the show today to talk a little bit about her platform, YNG experiences, and also hobbies outside of YNG. So I'll have Chelsea start us off with our first question.
So Molly, could you please tell us your delegation callback?
Sure. So our delegation callback is horns up, and we do this I know it's a audio medium, but it's like a peace, or not a peace sign, like a love sign, and it's supposed to be like horns. So horns up.
Horns up. I like that. I've seen that a lot at Camp Bob and all of the conferences too. It's super catchy because ours, I like how you actually like do something with your hand because that like our callback, we just do like Amy. It's cool too, but I think it's like super unique that you have the horns up. With our next question, building off of like your delegation, what is your favorite part of being a part of like the Diablo Valley delegation?
That's a good question. I mean, something kind of unique about our delegation is that this year it's all women. In the past years, it's been significantly dominated by women. And I think that's just such a unique experience. Because, youth in government is obviously co-ed, but it's kind of a unique situation to be in this delegation that specifically puts women in power in politics, where, there's a lot of oppression based on gender. And it's just such a great community. I mean, we're all friends. And yeah, like really and truly, it's just such an uplifting and positive community.
Yeah, I love that. I actually didn't know that it was it's all women this year.
Yeah,
That's
totally by chance. We don't do that on purpose or anything.
that's great. Yeah. And then also it's a Northern California delegation, right? You said it was in East Bay. Um what do you what is your experience as like a Northern California delegate like, and how do you what do you think should be like implemented or changed to better like the experience of Northern California delegations?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, as you guys probably know, youth in government is out of the metropolitan YMCA, which is in LA. And it's kind of hard to notice when you're in LA, but there are a lot of experiences that delegates are sort of excluded from, YNG prom being sort of the most obvious example of that. This year we have the NorCal liaison, which is obviously a great step in the right direction. But after COVID, there's definitely been a lot of things that Northern California delegates have been left out of. But I feel like we've kind of been building this community. And, when you talk to someone else from NorCal, you're like, hey, let's go. Like we have that connection.
Yeah, and a follow-up question, you said that you don't have like interconnected events with like other delegations like YNG prom. Another thing is I know for SoCal delegates we have a like an officer retreat at Camp Surf. Do you guys have an officer retreat for like your Northern California delegations?
Yeah, we do. The location's been sort of changed around this year. 2 years ago, it was at a YMCA camp. I forget exactly where, but that location was beautiful. And then we've done a couple of other things, but it's not because I'm pretty sure for you guys, it's like an overnight thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, ours is just a day, so very different in that sense.
So my next question is, are there any positions that you've held within your delegation or at a statewide level? And what program areas have you been in as well?
So for the past 2 years, I've been in Board of Education, which I love so much. Education and educational policy is like such a passion of mine. And last year I served as Deputy State Superintendent of Public Instruction in the Board of Education, which was a statewide leadership position for youth in government. And that was just such a fun position. It really is an interesting balance because you're sort of running the conversation while simultaneously helping the other delegates in the program. So it's kind of a interesting sort of leg in the water, but also you're in that leadership position. And then with my delegation, I served as outreach director. So that was a lot of like social media stuff and reaching out to other delegations. And this year I'm the president, which is obviously a lot of fun, running the meetings and reaching out to other presidents and stuff.
Yeah, and also pertaining to another role, obviously that you're running for. What made you interested in running for Secretary of State as opposed to like another role?
Yeah, I get asked this question a lot. And Secretary of State, it really just aligns the most with my beliefs. I'm really big on civic engagement and youth participation in government. And I feel like Secretary of State is the best way to really tap into that and get to promote the values that you believe in.
Next question. So, what has been your favorite moment from a YNG conference?
Oh, I mean, there's so many. That's such a hard question. I feel like just reuniting with your friends at Camp Bob, when you make friends from other delegations you don't get to see very often, and then running up to them and giving them the biggest hug at Bob is just such a unique, fun experience that I'm so grateful for.
Yeah, it's true. Like I feel like even beyond like becoming civically engaged at these conferences, you also just get to like meet people from all over California and just like make those bonds with just like people that you wouldn't regularly probably meet on the street or like see, right? And then this next question is straight from our delegation. Based on like what you've heard or experienced, can you rank the following five programs based on their like vibe or energy, like
Okay.
one having like the best energy and then five having the least energy. So we have the appellate court districts, ledge houses, California Investment Bank, ConCon, and Icon.
Okay, this is a really hard question. I know it's going to hurt some people's feelings. I feel like ConCon has to be number one. You hear so many great things about ConCon. Sounds like so much fun. One of my closest friends is in the new appellate program and she raves about it. She loves it. So put that as number two. Let's see, ledge houses. I feel like you also hear good things about that. I have a lot of friends in the ledge house trio. Um, Icon. I actually don't know anyone in Icon this year, I don't think. But, I'll make some new friends at Sacramento. If you're an Icon, hit me up. And then what was the fifth one?
Uh, did you say California Investment Bank yet?
I
Or
did not
okay, yeah.
know. One of my friends from our delegation, she's done DOF for the past 4 years or 3 years, and she's big into DOF. So there's a little, I guess, DOF and CIV aggression. So we'll put that as five.
There we go. And then going back to your delegation, how do you think, or do you think your delegation has like supported you with your campaign this year? And if so, why? How? Sorry, not why. How?
I mean, they've definitely been so, so, so supportive. I have a lot of people at my delegation who I go to school with and who I'm also just really close personal friends with. So it's nice to know that I can reach out to them about my campaign at any point in time. And they've obviously helped me come up with really great ideas. And one of my close friends, Aya, who ran for Secretary of State last year, she helped me make the posters and stuff. But I also have a lot of people who help me with my campaign who aren't in my delegation and who are from different delegations, which is really nice because then you can kind of see what other delegations are thinking and get more diverse perspectives.
Yeah. And building off of that last question, what do you think made your campaign like successful at Camp Bob? Because you've gone to the next level of this like election, right? Next level of the competition. What do you think made your campaign just like super successful and got you all those votes?
I really feel like, and maybe this is just me saying that because it was my favorite part of campaigning, but just like reaching out and talking to people and just having like fun, genuine conversations. I always joke with my friends that I kind of ran as Secretary of State as an excuse to talk to as many people as possible because I'm a very social person. I love having conversations and meeting new people. And I would just like go up to people in line for food and be like, "What's up, guys? How's it going? I'm Molly." And I've met so many really amazing, nice people that way.
I really feel you on the last one. So if you could join any delegation, which delegation would you join?
Oh, this is such a hard question. Let's see. I have a lot of friends at Berkeley, so B-Town would be a good competitor. I was talking to some West Side people the other day, and I feel like they're all so nice. I love West Side, but Amy might be taking the top spot right now.
I don't know. See, we're networking out here, guys. Shout out to Amy. Uh, and then actually, my delegation, we like take videos of everybody's speeches because we also want to like replay them at our delegations. And in your speech at Bob, I loved how you talked about unity and how we should like bridge the gap between different caucuses to promote like intersectionality, right? And I was wondering if you could elaborate on like how this system would work and like the benefits it would provide for delegates.
Yeah, for sure. I talk a lot about intersectionality and unity, like you were saying. And through these joint caucus events, essentially what it would be is one meeting at Sacramento in addition to the normal caucus meetings, where all of the caucuses would kind of get in a big room together and just discuss the importance of intersectionality and really get to understand the shared experiences. Because I feel like a lot of people don't realize, because this caucuses are separated literally and figuratively. And I feel like a lot of people kind of associate that in their mind with like, I have to choose between these two caucuses. And it's really important to foster a community where intersectionality is allowed and encouraged.
Hmm. And then also in your speech, you talked about implementing like YNG led organizations, led organizations by the youth to better inform our communities on like local propositions and on matters that they could vote on. I was wondering what inspired you to come up with this idea and like what will be like the first steps to creating these organizations.
Yeah. So for what inspired me, I mean, speaking to myself, I feel like I don't know a lot about local government. I mean, national government and international government gets so much news and coverage, and a lot of people kind of put local government into the back of their heads, which is really, it impacts us so much. And, just learning about your local government. I mean, I was talking to our mayor the other day and she was telling me so many interesting things about this city that I've lived in my whole life and I just never knew. So that's definitely what inspired me to, hopefully get other people interested in their local government. And how this would be implemented is groups throughout the state, depending on like physically where they live, would get together and hold um, like meetings for the community, public meetings where anyone can come in like a city council building or YMCA or wherever. And essentially they just inform on these like local issues.
Yeah, that's actually sounds like a great idea. That's like the main thing when I was listening to your speech at Bob that like shouted out like she's a great candidate, guys. Come on.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And obviously, if you guys have any like suggestions or anything, I really would like to view my platform as a living, breathing document where other people can input their advice. So yeah, feel free to pitch in with any suggestions.
Yeah, of course.
So, on the more personal side, we know that you've been involved in speech and debate since middle school. What has been your favorite speech and debate topic?
Oh, that's interesting question. I mostly specialize in speech, but when I did do debate, we had a really interesting debate about desalination, and that's something I had never really thought about, but it's such a like interesting and complicated issue.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then also, I know in like the past 2 years you've been focusing on like duo interpretation, right? Can you explain a little bit like about what that is for people that don't know what that is, and then how did you get into it?
Sure. So duo interpretation is a kind of speech where you take a piece of published literature, so a book, a movie, a script, whatever, and you and one other person cut it down to 10 minutes and perform it, just the two of you. But there's kind of a funky rule where you're not allowed to make eye contact or touch the other person. And I got into it because one of my closest friends, Margaret, who does youth in government, um, we were in the same public speaking class together freshman year, and her brother had done duo interpretation, and he kind of inspired us. And it's really so fun. This year, we're working on a speech about Florence Foster Jenkins, who is an opera singer who was famous for being like a really bad opera singer, but she performed at Carnegie Hall. So it's a really interesting story. Last year we did our duo interpretation on some lesbians in the 50s who get bombed by communists. So that was a really fun script too. Freshman year we did ours on the movie Airplane. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but great movie.
I'll have to check it out. I'm actually involved in speech and debate, more on like the debate side, more on like the debate side, but I've always wanted to get interested in like speech, and I'm actually glad that you shared this with me so I can actually share it with my speech and debate coach and club too.
What kind of debate do you do? I have to ask.
It's just policy.
Okay, yeah,
It's pretty fun. My debate partner and I, we're pretty successful. Like you have,
yeah.
went to states, right, with your speech
Mhm.
last year. Yeah, it's really really fun.
Yeah. Were you at state last year?
We got to like city championships because the
Okay,
we
okay.
don't do you guys do like CHSSA or is that like
GGSA, Golden
oh
Gate.
GGSA? Okay, because down here we do like CHSSA and then we do like LAMDL, like Los Angeles Metropolitan Debate League, which I know like a lot of youth and government delegates are in, and like LAMDL is what I was doing last year specifically, and that only goes like to city. But I had a super good time with my partner.
So, Molly, we've heard that you have a love for traveling and that you want to visit every single continent. Which continent is next on your traveling list?
Ooh, okay. I'm really excited. I just found out I'm going to Japan this summer with my family. It's kind of a funny story. My dad got my mom a pair of chopsticks for Christmas, and my mom was like, I guess we have to go to Japan now. And my dad was like, sure. So we're going to Japan. I'm really excited. It's been on my list for a long time.
That's so lovely. I hope you have a great time there.
You.
Of course. So next question. Since you've played volleyball since fifth grade, how do you think the game has impacted your character and what's your favorite volleyball memory?
Okay, that's a really good question. You guys are doing such a good job. Um, I feel like volleyball has kind of given me a better sense of teamwork and collaboration. Volleyball is really such a team sport. You can't do it without your teammates, and it really relies on you trusting your teammates to, get the pass, get the set, whatever. Um, and my favorite volleyball memory, that's a tough one. I feel like just tournament days in general are so fun, going out with your friends before, after, eating good food. Yeah, I can't pin a single memory, but there's lots of good ones.
Hmm. And then, are there any other like hobbies or extracurriculars that you have that we haven't like asked about yet?
Um, my friend Charlie, who does youth in government, she runs this organization called Centerpoint that we've been working on for a long time. It's a political unity club where they focus on sort of bridging divides within youth politics, and they do a lot to like increase voter registration, and they have a lot of discussion based things at colleges and high schools, and there's chapters all over the US. There used to be one in Spain, and I think there's a couple in LA too. So yeah, that's so fun. Love Center Point. We had a booth at Sacramento last year. I'm not sure if you guys remember that.
Well, is it going to be there again this year or?
I'm not sure. I'll have to talk to Charlie, but I will keep you updated on that.
I'll also look out for the for like the outreach that they have in LA too. It sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
So, do you have any advice for delegates out there who will be running for different positions in the upcoming years?
I feel like the number one advice that I can give you is just be willing to talk to people and to listen. You can't do this by yourself. It's so hard to do by yourself. It's impossible to do by yourself. And the best part of running for a leadership position, like I said, is talking to people, making connections. And when I look back on my experience running for Secretary of State, I'm really going to remember all the people that I've talked to, the Zoom calls like this that I've had, it's just such a people thing, and you just have to be willing to talk to people and enjoy being with people.
Hmm. And then our last question, speaking of Zoom calls, since it's like campaign season and you've probably like been going around to delegations, spreading your message, the policies that you want to implement, or is there like any like policy or like idea that you have that you feel like you haven't been able to like talk about a lot, or like you just want to like pinpoint like here on the show?
That's an interesting question. I hadn't really thought about that. Hmm. Let me think about this for a second.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like I haven't gotten the super chance to talk about the importance of depolarization in my mind. I've talked about it definitely a little bit, but I really feel like polarization is such a huge problem within youth and government within America. And there's so many things that we can do to combat it, but people are just scared to take that first step and be willing to have the conversation and learn about other people and their opinions. And it's just really hard because so many people see the world as such a black and white thing. And you have to be willing to step into the gray area.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Molly. Remember everybody, Molly Stout from the Diablo Valley delegation running for your 78th Secretary of State. And Molly, we'll see you at Sacramento. Thank you so much.
It was so
Thank you,
nice to meet you guys. Thank you so much for having me here. I had a great time.
Thank you.